So guys, it's official. The high school career of Mr. Bronny James is officially over. It was definitely a great run. Lots of ups, lots of downs, lots of highlight moments, highlight dunks, even ain't gonna lie, even some questionable moments as well. It's officially time for the next phase of Bronny's career, college. Now, in this specific moment in time, we don't officially know where Bronny James is going to be playing college basketball next year. Word by many analysts is that his top three choices are schools like Oregon, USC, and Ohio State. Guys, you watching this video, where will this man Bronny James go? Only time will tell. However, despite all that, I feel like we all need to take a step back to really appreciate greatness and to really understand the entire scope of Bronny's high school career and how he even got to this point. I really do not think you guys understand the amount of pressure that has been placed on this 18-year-old kid ever since he came out the womb. No other player in the history of the world even compares to the expectations that Bronny James has as an overall basketball player. There's never been a father of the stature of LeBron James that's had a son that has even slightly lived up to the expectations of their fathers. But guys, I don't know, for some odd reason, based on the development that we've seen from Bronny James over the past few years, I can't be the only one that's gonna say this or even thinks this. I honestly think that Bronny James might be on his way to being one of the next stars of the NBA. So guys, boom, the evolution of Bronny James from his freshman year all the way up to his senior year to where we are at currently, to me is inspiring. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the insane pressure that this kid has had to succeed as an overall basketball player is just beyond any athlete in our lifetime. Back in 2019, whenever Bronny James first entered high school, I definitely feel like we can all agree that we did not know the ceiling that Bronny James had, at least for his future as a player. Yes, he was definitely a solid player in that specific moment in time, but whenever he did enter high school, just like most other kids, he was what, 5'10", 5'11", definitely solid athletically, but he wasn't an out the gym, jump out the roof type of once in a lifetime type of player that we just expected to become an NBA type of player. This man had to work his way up just to get minutes on the team. And in his freshman year, he legit only averaged 4 points a game on 15 minutes of action. But like I said, it was definitely expected. Bronny wasn't the super dynamic, here, go get me a bucket type of player at only 15 years old. He came off the bench and he looked and played like a normal freshman, especially coming into a program like Sierra Canyon. We already know the top guys that he had in that specific moment in time: BJ Boston, Zaire Wade, Zaire Williams, Amari Bailey. Guys, this team was stacked. And I feel like the highlight moment of Bronny's freshman year is definitely whenever he played LeBron's old high school, St. Vincent St. Mary's, and he also hit the game-winning layup in Akron in front of thousands and millions of people in attendance, and he also won MVP in that game. If you guys do remember whenever this took place, this was definitely a huge moment in Bronny's early high school career. Now, in his sophomore year, I feel like this year it just did not go as expected. I mean, even to begin the year that year, the whole world was going through a, like Gunna said, panoramic. So teams in the States barely even played. And if they did play, most of these teams were playing with masks. Guys, if you were around this time, or even if you remember the world in this specific moment of time, man, it's just, to me, it's still crazy that this even took place. But even with all that, for Bronny James, he unfortunately had a setback with an injury to where his meniscus actually was just not right. So that actually sidelined him for the entire season up until the playoffs of that year, which they did lose to Jeremy Cannon Centennial in the California State Final. Like I said, overall for his sophomore year, there really isn't much to say besides the fact that he was sidelined with an injury. However, I do think the highlight moment for Bronny James in his sophomore year was definitely the incident that actually took place off the court whenever he got caught. Actually, not even caught. This man posted himself on Instagram, on I think his Instagram story, smoking that weed. Guys, if you
This mistake is costing Amazon Prime shoppers big. Are you still using Prime? Because at this point, it's the
you remember this specific moment in time, let me know down below. But man, Bronny James, bruh, man, gotta do better. Now, his junior year was relatively similar to his freshman and sophomore year. To me, it was essentially a combination of his play and also his injuries. If you remember by this time, mind you, Bronny James was not the NBA potential type of athlete and player that we expected him to be. The main question that everybody would ask would be, when is Bronny James going to take that next step as a player? Why is he so passive? Is he overrated? Why is he ranked over some of the other top high school athletes that are dropping major buckets, winning titles, winning state, all that, when Bronny James can't even manage to average over 8 points in a season? There were so many storylines as it pertained to when Bronny James is going to take that next step. Now, me personally, all I can personally say, and me being 100% honest, I definitely don't think he took that next step as an overall player in his junior year. Despite a few highlight moments whenever he had a chance to play LeBron's old high school once again, and he also dropped 19 points in that game, despite all that, he still wasn't for sure a lock or even looked like an NBA player in that specific moment in time. He finished his junior year only averaging 8.8 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And like I said, it was definitely a solid season, but he still was not that player that even people even had a conversation as it regards to him being an NBA player. But his senior year, Bronny James. This is when I feel like things definitely started to take a turn. This is when senior year Bronny James arrived. This is when aggressive Bronny started to form. This is whenever I could look at a player like Bronny James and ask myself and also tell myself, how in the who did this man Bronny James go from a regular schmegular skinny freshman player that could barely even get any rotational minutes on the roster and making lousy mistakes and having to fight through injuries over the past couple of years with the pressure to just live up to so many unrealistic expectations? I had to ask myself and tell myself, this man Bronny James heading into his senior year, he actually might be a legit NBA prospect. Guys, if you remember, before his senior year even started, at Sierra Canyon, his AAU season, this is where he really took that next step. I'm sure you can see just from the highlights playing on the screen from his AAU highlights. He just looks more fluid, more aggressive. He's attacking more. He's making more IQ passes. He just showed tremendous growth as an overall player. And to reach this level, I feel like most people just never thought this day would come. This was the first time in his career that he was actually scoring multiple 20-point games, close to 30, scoring legit layups, dunks, LeBron James types chase down blocks, doing the whole spiel, and this was definitely a blessing to see. See, guys, I honestly feel like Bronny James just had no other choice but to take that lead role as an overall player, and this was essentially his team heading into his senior year. I generally feel like this was the specific moment that everybody and their mama was waiting for throughout his 4 years, and the conversation, as we know, just always, whenever this man Bronny James gets his own team, how is he going to elevate as an overall player? And in his senior year, this past season, he led Sierra Canyon to a 23-11 overall record. And I do believe that he did take initiative in some degree this season. And this was essentially his team. Now, there was definitely a lot of people who would say that Isaiah Elohim was the best player since he was a top 10 player in that 24 class. And he also was the main person scoring the ball and playing offense, defensive, and just doing the whole thing. But I feel like Bronny James, since he was a senior and he also was the leader who was leading by example, this was definitely his team. Like I said, he led Sierra Canyon to a 23-11 record, and he also averaged a career high 14 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, and close to 3 assists. Definitely much more than I personally anticipated, and I feel like this is definitely a realistic average for a player who just is not attempting many shots and one that people claim is not that aggressive. And despite not being the player that's averaging 20 points a game and whatnot, this still led Bronny James to actually becoming a McDonald's All-American and a player that will be representing the United States in the Nike Hoop Summit. Like I said, him averaging what he did and also having the record that he did help Sierra Canyon get to definitely drew questions on if he really deserved to be an All-American. I made a video on this. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But long story short, it definitely depends on how you look at this situation. I personally get it. For both sides. People are saying that he only made it because he's LeBron's son, and then there's the other half saying that he did have pretty good games, and he even beat the #1 player in the country and the Naismith Player of the Year, Wheeler High School, and Isaiah Collier. So trust me, I do get it from both perspectives. But all in all, I think Bronny James' senior year and his overall high school career was definitely a movie, and I feel like this is definitely one that we're going to be looking back on as watching him becoming the player that he is today, and how we watched him develop from a 14, 15-year-old kid to a legit 18-year-old NBA prospect that people are saying could be getting drafted in the NBA lottery. The amount of pressure, like I said, that's been placed on this kid to make it to the NBA since day one has been out of this world, and LeBron James himself, I don't know if he's honestly making this any easier for him. But one thing that I do know about Bronny James is that he definitely lives up for the moment, and he's just unfazed by all this types of hoopla. It doesn't even get to him. He doesn't get nervous. He doesn't feel the pressure, and he's not worried. And I feel like he's personally worried about writing his own story, which I personally respect on a whole nother level. Guys, I don't think you guys understand. This man doesn't even have to play basketball if he doesn't want to. This man's already a millionaire. He has so many different endorsements. This man has everything that every kid would desire, and he's still out there hooping, doing what he wants to do. And like I said, the fact that he loves the game of basketball and he works hard and he's unfazed by all this, I definitely hope to see him play in the league one day. Now guys, let's go and wrap this up. The next stage in Bronny James' career is, like I said, college. Where is he going? In this specific moment in time, we don't know exactly what school he's going to be going to, but like I said, his top 3 choices currently are USC, Oregon, and Ohio State. I personally believe that he's probably going to go to Ohio State or USC. I think it just fits Bronny James as an overall player. But then again, I wouldn't mind seeing him play for Oregon. But guys, you already know, whenever he does make that decision, we're going to make a video on it. We're going to make a reaction to it. And I feel like that day, the whole world is going to turn into an earthquake, because everybody named Mama is finna be talking about where Bronny James ultimately commits to. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen LeBron James make his comments on him saying that Bronny is already better than a lot of these NBA players. I'm actually thinking about making a video on that here pretty soon, so let me know if you guys actually want that video. I'll probably be dropping it soon as well. I have a lot of other bangers as well. I really wasn't trying to drop this many Bronny videos, but it's just the fact that there's just so much going on with Bronny James this past 2 weeks. And like I said, I'm probably going to drop that video too, so bear with me. I got some other videos planned for you guys, but definitely let me know down below other video ideas that you guys have. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you made it to the end. Please smash that like button. It helps the channel out in so many ways. I appreciate every single one of you guys showing love to all my videos lately. And yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you for watching. And it's been an episode of Juice Made TV.